This is Jen from Unicorn Riot. We are here with Xochi de la Luna, the founder of Mother Goose's Bedtime Stories and Uproar Performing Arts.
Mother Goose's Bedtime Stories is a community celebration of Minneapolis's underrepresented yet powerful artists. Over a dozen dancers, poets, comedians, and musicians performed at the Cedar Cultural Center for the cabaret's 2-year anniversary in August 2019. Unicorn Riot sat down with the creator to get the story behind this collaborative project.
I'm Xochi de la Luna. I am a producer, curator, performance artist in the Twin Cities, and a self-described weirdo.
The Bedtime Goose founder has said that their mission is to push the arts in new directions while giving underrepresented and new artists a platform to be seen and heard in a fantastical environment.
These shows that I do, they're like a love letter to Minneapolis.
Minneapolis is a very weird and unique place.
I always expected that show to focus on theater, puppetry, performance art, dance, like very dramatic things. And music, because honestly, I want music to be part of everything in my life.
Mother Goose's Bedtime Stories is a collaborative effort between everyone who's involved in producing each cabaret event.
What I do have right now is a comedy producing collective with Uproar Performing Arts.
Xochi explained how the Uproar Performing Arts initiative evolved from the comedy open mic, originally presented by Bedtime Goose's Vector 9 variety show.
So Vector 9 variety show was produced by Uproar Performing Arts. So it's produced by Madi RT, Devohn Bland, Comrade Tripp. Everything is Uproar Performing Arts now. But I started Vector 9 because I wanted it to be a way to further cross-pollinate all the different bubbles of things going on in the Twin Cities. Spaces that are dominated by white men in this city, especially comedy. We wanted to give a space where it wasn't dominated by white men to people to work on their comedy, and maybe we'd start seeing more faces in comedy that looked like us.
Xochi reached out to me to help co-host Vector 9 because Xochi wanted to find someone that they could create comedic synergy with and someone who they trusted.
And Devohn ended up being a freaking collaborator, and that's why I brought him in first.
A diverse crowd of white people. All the people of color make some noise! All the white people make some noise! Shut the fuck up! This is the Cedar Cultural Center.
Maddie is a non-binary person that also is comfortable with the identity of woman. So we wanted to bring in somebody with that identity to give us a different perspective. I'm there, as a trans femme person, and then Comrade is our quiet Lord of Darkness,
It's a comedy open mic for people of color, LGBTQ, and women. So no cis straight white dudes. They can come, they can watch. And that's on purpose because there's so many other comedy open mics in the Twin Cities area that they can go to, and that are majority straight white dudes. So it's trying to create a space.
It's just a space where people feel comfortable to laugh.
I've been trying to figure out what kind of dick energy I have. It's an active mystery because I don't have a lot of energy, I'm not energetic. I think I have old dick energy.
I wanted a mic that people could come do whatever, right? They have a 5-minute puppet piece that they want to try out on the audience, and they're too nervous to ask me to book them. Well, they can come out and try it in the open mic. In the Twin Cities, and probably around the country, because I don't really know the comedy scene around the country, but it's just dominated by cisgendered white, men, and it kind of stifles the opportunities for women and POC in the most part. We wanted to change the way people thought of comedy in this city, because comedy can be very healing, right? Laughter is healing. You need laughter, especially in these dark times, right? So we wanted to at least offer a different environment for comedy, so people can decide if they like comedy or not. And a lot of the time people realize that they didn't know comedy could be fun. And that's really weird, right? Considering comedy is a thing that's supposed to make people laugh.
People need a space where they can perform and tell jokes and feel supported and feel funny, because sometimes you go into spaces where you have the goal of like, all right, I'm gonna tell a joke and I'm gonna be funny, and you don't feel safe or you feel threatened in the place, and that it's hard to try to convince someone to laugh at something you've written in that kind of environment.
I agree that you should be able to write about almost anything, especially in your own life if it pertains to you, but like if it's offensive, then probably you should write better.
Sometimes someone could tell a black joke, or someone will tell a joke that is like obviously homophobic, and we want to create a space where that's not going to happen, or where people know like, hey, if you do this, it's not going to go well at all, so you probably just shouldn't.
That's why I decided to do Mother Goose's Bedtime Stories in Vector 9, is because I was inspired by what I saw in this city, and it's really cool having been part of this for the 2 years that I have, because I've realized that people will keep creating art and keep creating spaces wherever, and regardless of like how much more intense capitalism becomes for us all, I don't think they'll ever be able to like extinguish that part of us, that artistic drive, that want to tell stories.
Oh, now this one's about my big dick energy. I got that Vicky clip, big dick energy.
There's a lot that goes with it, right? And I don't even know how I used to produce 2 different kind of variety cabaret shows in a month without the help of the people who have jumped in. I think part of it was being homeless, honestly, because like when I started Mother Goose's Bedtime Stories, I was homeless and I had just a lot of time because like I was on other people's schedules. Like if I was sleeping over somebody's house, most of the time they didn't want to leave me at their place alone, you know, so I had to like leave, or the roommates necessarily didn't want me there.
I just sat there waiting until it was okay for me to leave. A lot of my life is about waiting until it's okay for me to leave, until it's okay to cry, to laugh, to spoon myself open, to staple myself back up.
I always anticipated Mother Goose's Bedtime Stories to be queer and trans led, you know, and BIPOC if possible. Brown people are hustling so hard they can't even, you know, we need to stick together like as people who are all shit on equally.
My Americanness is your forefathers' nightmare. My American dream is more deathless than a virus, still standing strong in the face of your constant mass incarcerating, whitewashing, gentrifying, and go back to your country chanting, my Americanness.
Devohn and I started this Comedy Plus mic so that we could have more folks that are brown, that are queer, that are trans, that are women try out comedy in a place that they felt like, you know, they weren't going to get unsolicited advice from people who don't have any basis in their life, like, you know, they have no way to relate to them.
Not only when you go to those spaces are like, do cishet white men make up the majority of the people performing, but they also like they own the venues that the shows are had in. Sometimes they host them, sometimes they manage them. They have a hand in every facet of a show being put together for the most part. So we want to create a space where that is lesser, so that more people have opportunities to check it out and feel validated, feel seen, and feel like they have a place where they can perform and do well and not have to hear someone make a terrible racist joke.
My goal is to create community, and my goal is to bring people together to see things they might not see. Sometimes it might click for someone that that's something that they would have never thought they would have enjoyed, but they enjoy. And that all kind of plays into this whole like sense of like intimate, like vulnerable. When you allow yourself to sit through something like that, where like people are sharing such personal things, creates like a bond between like the audience and the performer, especially like if everybody's like attentive. And that's what I've always wanted from an audience, is like an attentive audience that like really like takes a second to like think about it.
Vector 9 is the dimension from which Mother Goose comes, according to Xochi. The place is in a perpetual golden age where art has power and everyone is at peace.
Everybody is like so at peace that like all they really care about is art, you know? And in the Mother Goose universe, the art is what keeps that dimension in its golden age.
Xochi strives to curate this euphoric, immersive atmosphere in their shows.
Now I know for a fact, if I can be up here in this costume, that's what I call fetish wear, and these 1, 2, 3-inch stilettos, then y'all can get up and dance too. It's really easy to clap to this song. Watch me. Ready for it?
I've had this conversation with people a lot where like we're talking about like fascist, like 1984-esque like scenarios, and it's like what's missing in those books is always like people creating art like that is like about things that the fascist government doesn't want them to do. I don't think anybody's gonna have the power to completely wipe out art and like self-expression. I feel like that just seems unrealistic to me. At least that's how I feel after 2 years of creating this kind of work, these kind of spaces, is that they can't stop us.
Thanks for taking the time to learn more about the Bedtime Goose universe of performance art. If you enjoyed this piece, remember to like, share, donate, and/or follow Unicorn Riot on social media for more independent content like this.